Xinjiang, in China's northwest corner, is over 1.6 million square kilometers and is famous for being home to many different ethnic groups. It is also famously dry and is covered generously with desert. Its other trademark, energy resources, and fossil fuels in particular, are among the most widely discussed topics in modern society. For most of us, the closest we actually come to that world is putting gasoline in our cars. But for citizens in Karamai, oil is a livelihood and their city's reason for being. Some 80% of its GDP is dependent on the oil industry, and as many as 1 out of every 3 of its people have been directly employed by an oil field. But while oil field hardly conjures up an ideal living environment, the town of Karamai has created a quality of life for its citizens that is greener than in most any place you could find.
When the average person thinks of Xinjiang, a whole range of sensations comes to mind. The smell of fresh-baked naan, the sounds of a Turkic language that comes from way back here, the feel of air so dry that it seems to suck the moisture right out of your skin. But for the citizens here in Karamai, there's an image that is much more representative, that of slick black oil bursting from the ground. In today's edition of Rediscovering China, we will see how the town of Karamai went from a tiny dot in the desert to a bustling modern city, all with the help of oil.
Karamai has made this huge progress in a span of less than 50 years. It was created with the express goal of developing industries related to oil production. Oil has, in turn, been kind to them. The city now has a per capita income that is higher even than Shanghai.
你觉得康马邑怎么样？
很漂亮，尤其是步行街。
绿化呀和那个啥那些小区建设搞得都特别好，还有文化生活都搞得比较丰富一点。
卡拉玛市街是很漂亮，我在那20多年了，卡拉玛变化大了，卫生也好，美化的也好。
一天卖80个、100个，蛋糕很好吃。
现在我们这个城市嘛，干干净净的，啊，刮风了嘛，那个脏土呀，那把那都没有了。现在嘛，我们城市嘛太好了。The town is clean, the people are clean.
I'm making a fashion statement here with my gloves and my hat. We're actually on the road to the drilling site with Tursun, and we can ask him a few questions about his working environment. 请问您在这边干了几年了？
我从事钻井专业已经今年就13年了。我以前在后勤在团委工作，那时候还不知道这个野外，反正像打井这样情况。后面就是根据这个专业这个对口，我学的钻井专业，到这个前线来。
Karamai was the first major oil field discovered after the founding of New China in 1949. On the road from Karamai to the oil drilling sites, on either side, oil rigs in a wide range of sizes and colors dot the Gobi Desert landscape as far as the eye can see. Arranged every 5 to 10 meters or so, the machines seem to nod their heads tirelessly. As we get closer to the site where oil is actually extracted, the scent of tar and crude oil fill the air. People in the industry tell me that in newly developed oil fields, there are far fewer drills, as the oil is all much closer to the surface. At present, Karamai's production has already surpassed an annual 10 million tons of oil and gas. Their goal is to be producing 20 million tons yearly by 2010, making them a world-class oil field. The total reserves of oil and gas are estimated at some 10 billion tons, and less than 20% of this has been accessed so far.
工作的过程当中，你碰到的有哪一些挑战？
主要是这个语言方面，比如说来了一个新的设备，它的原理、它的这个说明各方面啊，又是个外语又是汉语，有些这个名词我也就是懂不过来，只能请教我们师傅。我刚干的时候没有什么 HSC 这个体系，然后98年一系列这个文件制度来了，刚来的时候职工也接受不了，我那么严，好像那样子监狱一样，特别 我慢慢就职工也适应了，然后 HS 含义什么，反正职工这个意识提高了。
Some of the new regulations he mentioned to me were things like stricter absence and leave policies. Torsten also told me that, as a leader, one of his roles was as an informal counselor for his colleagues. Arguments or pressure back home affect the workers from time to time, but these must not compromise their ability to focus and work safely. Watching him interact with his subordinates was touching in a way, because it was clear that they respected and admired him, but saw him as a trusted friend as well.
我干了工作已经2、3年了，在这些地方的工作挺好的。
我在这工作2年了，然后工作虽然苦一点、艰苦一点，但是还是挺好的。
我们来到这个快28年了，都参加工作，进这行一直进这行干活。进这行嘛，以前我们来时候有点苦，现在好了。
Like workplaces around the world, the lunch break here is standard. But in order to keep up the level of oil production and give everyone a chance to eat on time, things move pretty quickly. Unlike workplaces in the city, there aren't many restaurants nearby, so the oil field employs cooks who prepare food according to people's requests and then deliver it to the worksite. Working, eating, and sharing living quarters with the same colleagues day after day must make the oil field into a true home away from home.
现在到了我们这个集中工业，我们先进去看一看。
好的。
这个从这边进，职工一下班，首先进这个房子，这个是更衣室，工衣、工鞋、安全帽。 完了以后，这边就是把干净的衣服穿上。我们这个做饭的这个生活组的这个照片，我们就互相监督。这是我们的这个1个星期的这个食谱，今天吃啥饭，明天吃啥饭，都已经很明确的都有。
啊，那你们这个组有好多各种各样的民族，你们这么……
我们每个星期开1次会。 代表职工的意见再提出来，谁不吃羊肉，谁不吃鸡肉，根据这个情况，另外那边单独做。
你结婚了吧？
我
什么时候结婚
？99年结婚，结婚完了以后，第2年就直接就上京了，上京一直3个月没回家，那学好几次给我打电话，咋不下来？什么不想看看娃娃吗？怎么？ 那时候就电话里面就是也生气过我，也吵过架。后面我就反复说了，不是我一个人不回去，我们队30多个人都是回不了家的。后面他就打电话也少了，有时候就是娃娃感冒了，我给你说一声，但是你不要下来，什么我简单的吃个药，怎么。
过去我们讲的是先生产后生活，现在整个理念都发生了变化。 石油工人更注重以人为本，整个我们的现场的施工条件啊、生活条件和工作条件都发生了非常大的变化。
很多人会说卡拉玛依过去没水啊，或者各个方面的，在一个油田很自然碰到的一些障碍，你们是怎么解决的？
对我们这个，因为这个地方很偏僻，是个荒凉的戈壁，没有水，整个在勘探开发中的困难很多。 但是我们过去发扬的是一种艰苦奋斗的一种精神，这些年建得很快，克服了一些技术上的、资源上的一些困难，我们现在整个发展非常好。
在你心目中的卡拉玛依，这个未来怎么样？你觉得？
未来是非常美好的，因为我们的发展潜力很大，国家把这定位非常重要的一个石油石化基地。 在不远的将来，我们这个科勒玛依就会成为中国西部最大的一个石油基地。
I've been living with.
The name Karamai comes from Uyghur and means literally black oil. The town itself is named after this hill, which was formed by the combination of sand on the surface and oil bubbling up from the earth. Perhaps the most legendary man ever to live in Karamai was Salimu, as he is credited by some for nothing less than the very discovery of oil here. But there are several conflicting versions, and it seems Salimu may not have been the first. How much of it is myth and how much of it is fact? Well, we found one of the original pioneers here to set the record straight.
咱们看到的呢，这个赛利木老人啊，是在这里老游的一位老人。克拉玛这个黑油山原油的出现，从很早以前就引起了附近居民的注意。在20世纪初，也就是1902年，就有附近的居民在这里收集这里原油。其中这个赛利木老人呢，是最后的一位。每年的夏天呢，他就来到这个地方收集这里的原油。收集了原油干什么呢？就卖给路过此地赶马车的一些人，作为运化车种。为什么对这位老人大家都知道这么清楚呢？就是1954年，当石油地质调查队到这来进行调查的时候，这位老人还在这里捞取石油。
This isn't actually a reflection pool just set up here for tourists. It's actually a pool that rises naturally from fissures in the shallow levels of the earth. If you look closely, you can see bubbles coming up, and it looks like the earth is breathing.
In addition to oil, Karamai is looking to develop the tourism industry, and one of its main attractions has already become this spot here, Black Oil Hill. As a visitor, it really is fascinating to see a place like this, and to imagine how excited the first prospectors must have felt when they first caught sight of this place some 50 years ago. I wonder if even they dared to imagine what this place would become. While Salimu's story has a certain mythical appeal to it, the story of most of this city's actual founders is as true as it is amazing.
So I know that Karamai's first drilling rig was built in 1955, but from the looks of this town, the whole place could have been built yesterday. So what I want to know is, what happened in the meantime? Why did the boom happen so late? Apparently, I'm not the first visitor to ask these questions. There's the Karamai Memorial built specifically to answer these questions. Let's have a look inside.
Locals are proud that in the 1950s, a song about their town became famous all over China, the Song of Karamai. Its lyrics say, "Karamai, I'm not willing to get close to you. You have no grass and no water. You don't even have any birds." So when the first team of prospectors came to what was then just a strip of land in the Gobi, we know the conditions were awful. Upon arrival, all that was before their eyes were waves of yellow rising from the horizon like huge bubbles of sand, not even interrupted by weeds. At the time, the